of their own.
There's only a little bit that's showing on the surface, but they can play a whole lot more. We're going to Volskaya Foundry for Game 2. This is a choice of Heroes Hearth. Tempo Storm has been known sometimes when losing the first game to switch to Battleground choice, but both of them have a lot of overlapping Battlegrounds that they feel comfortable on. These are two scrim partners in the past. They've played each other so much that they're going to generally have an idea of where each other want to pick. I think that's why Tempo could bank on trying to bring in the Valera, and probably why, even though they lost with the Valera in that last game, it's not too concerning for them.
I think the scary thing for me is this has been Heroes Hearth. They're good on every Battleground. This is their most dominant, I think. They came into the weekend undefeated. Their highest kills, their highest KD is on this Battleground. They've proven that even if they get behind early, they still come back and dominate. The amount of sustain that we know they can put out. We saw an early Jimmy Phoenix rotation. I don't think they're going to get that again. But either one of those heroes, if you get one of those with your first pick, does incredibly well on the control points. So we'll see if the drafts change up. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see the Abathur ban this game. See how it changes.
And maybe Uriel will be banned instead. There was also a Blaze ban last game by Tempo. That is the favored solo laner of Heroes Hearth. It's a lot of things to keep in mind here. Sustain, maybe most of all.
Do we get another Alex Straza? Because it doesn't matter what map it feels like anymore. Alex Straza has risen very far.
The amount of times June played Alex on Shrines, I will be flabbergasted if we don't have at least one June Alex Straza before this series is over. I will eat my hat. And I know I don't have one, but I'll find one and then
I know, I'm looking back here, I'm like, is there a hat maybe available somewhere? We have an Abathur hat, I think, somewhere.
I'm not gonna eat that hat.
That's a pretty big hat.
That's a really big hat. All right, Chromie ban elicits the Hammer ban. Still things like Genji Tracer for hyper-aggression, things like Uriel Blaze,
Jimmy Phoenix.
Thrall, yeah, Phoenix.
Heroes Hearth will run their Jaina more often than not. I think more so than some of the other teams.
We see a lot of Jaina bans on Volskaya.
Mostly in North America. We've seen a lot of it. Hanzo fell pretty low in the draft last game as Jimmy's going to be banned out here, not even willing to see if Tempo will run that. Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
What is her? I think she's titled the Binder of Life. The Life Binder? Maybe not. It's something like that. First pick. Alex Straza from Tempo. It can't be Phoenix Raynor, but it could still be Phoenix and Diablo. And that's a pretty potent duo.
Maybe Diablo is the answer towards the Murden style that we know Kato likes to play.
I think it's still an answer to Alex Straza too. Considering the fire or lightning, I guess.
It's both.
In circles. Lightning fire breath.
You can call it both. We can even invent stuff. There's more fire. Hanzo not making it through to the second ban. For Heroes Hearth, Blaze obviously picked up by Tempo Storm and Uriel banned out, leaving what could be a Dahaka.
Or Thrall.
But I imagine Tempo might target the Thrall again.
Yeah, it just worked so well already with Diablo Phoenix. I would be pretty surprised if that makes it through. What does Heroes Hearth want to take away, though? Huh.
They know things. They know things.
Double melee seems to be more prevalent than just Octalysis. And Endemic. And it's Tempo. Okay, double melee is here in NA to stay.
Willing to let the Thrall through. Heroes Hearth happily picks those up pretty quickly. Tempo Storm. Are we going solo ranged again? Garrosh is going to be the pickup. advanced hero, one of the more diverse hero pools. Tracer at this point, not super appealing. Junkrat's going to be the pickup. I almost wonder if Junkrat is a bit of a... Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
HeroesHearth ran the Zeratul multiple times, I believe, on this battleground at Midseason Brawl. They've run it dating back to as long as Volskaya has been in the competitive scene.
Mac's been running Zeratul just for a long time in
Forever?
general.
So that should leave Arthalon on the thrall.
It is.
Okay, you got the...
I got you. I got your back. That's what I have.
Yeah, McIntyre is there. Less threatening shutdown than we've seen in the past. A lot of times we've seen Zeratul be countered by a lot of hard CC targets. Uther in particular.
Yeah.
Garrosh has the stun. Blaze would have to land the jet propulsion. But VP into a world of pain, I feel, is what's going to be coming from the side of HeroesHearth. This is a little bit more risky for HeroesHearth,
but a whole lot more fun. I'm pumped. Are you pumped? I'm pumped.
Getting there. Zeratul early game, it makes it hard to get pumped. He's so weak.
Last time this duo was seen on Volskaya Foundry in North America, Endemic played it, and it was versus Simplicity. And Tiger JK got some of the most stunning Divine Storms I've ever seen. That's not the case here, but there are things like Dragon Queen for knockback, there's Mines to disrupt, there is Jet Propulsions, and there's Warlords challenges. But I still feel like the coordination that's necessary to pull this kind of comp off, it's there for HeroesHearth. They have proven that this phase.
The approach in the early game, I just don't see a lot of early Zeratul ganks. And as we saw from HeroesHearth before, they were pretty cautious with their Diablo approach, understanding that his health pool, his souls, not very stacked, and were willing to concede a lot. I think as we get to the control point will be the time where I think they'll try and force their hand a bit.
They may. They also may just use that time to get some tower damage done, to keep some things slowed down, and then look to go into the second control point without having lost too much. But defense with this kind of melee-heavy composition could be difficult if they do lose the Protector. So I could see both sides of the argument for HeroesHearth, how much they want to contest that first control point.
So far, things playing out pretty standard. Both teams working towards their turrets. As soon as this starts,
do they head up and try to get the support camp?
Garrosh and a Junkrat? Can you even walk anywhere near that?
Well, there is some stun lock, but the mine is already placed. I think maybe the most would be trying to force Tempo to drop that turret. But Tempo Storm know better than that. Zoning roots are there to ensure HeroesHearth can get out alive. We've seen somewhat of a change up in the laning for Tempo Storm. They keep Blaze in the top and then instead make the mid-bot rotations, but it's a very calculated start to Volskaya Foundry, as often we do see.
The approach that we see some teams take nowadays with this camp is that they're willing to try and push theirs out early, go control the control point while the opposing team goes to deal with it, and then make their rotation. We just play the seesaw back and forth. But both teams, they're waiting to see who's going to blink first. HeroesHearth, they're going to go ahead and start theirs. Tempo Storm sitting on theirs for now. It's control point, 15 seconds away.
This is not Q-build Alex Straza. Even though I think earlier when Alex Straza was first released, June was more willing to try to flex things, or flex her build. It's back to stacking up on the globes, eventually being able to give globes back to the team, but also getting more of that percent-based healing as that stacks up.
So HeroesHearth, they're going to concede, allowing their opponent to take control, force their camp in. Ooh, Arthon, I think a little bit lucky he didn't get knocked over the wall there, because there was no way he makes it back. That treant that came through was already down. No minions were there. They're also trying to get 7 off of this.
Channel is at 65% and continuing to climb before Cattle relinquishes the point momentarily using Indomitable. Makes it through the roots. Assault camp has been cleared. Now Tempo Storm can come down with the rest.
HeroesHearth constantly playing around the long experience game. McIntyre continuing his cycle up and down, getting the body soak in that bot lane. Tempo Storm holding the turret camp. HeroesHearth, very cautious approach again. And I think they're going to just concede this first one.
Yep. Keeps everybody up. It's something that Team Dignitas did it on Volskaya versus, I want to say it was HeroesHearth themselves, but versus another team, making sure that you have everybody to defend the first protector ensures that you can keep soaking in multiple lanes, you put in maximum amounts of damage. It is still a big melee composition for HeroesHearth, but they have things like the Chain Lightning of Arthalon and the poke there. Crowan gets rooted, shielding gone. He's going to warp out of that. Still halves his health bar.
The amount of damage that HeroesHearth accomplished in that top lane was enough to neutralize some of the experience, but the control that Tempo is accomplishing, they get that well down, going into the next control point, will be felt. Arthon taking some damage as well, as it's played out pretty favorably for HeroesHearth. Their comp is definitely much later game composition, and they're accomplishing, I think, their early goals right now.
Yeah, this is clean for the composition that HeroesHearth has and has been wanting to play. When they, earlier on in the phase, lost some early games but ended up making the right kind of comebacks, we asked them about that, and I believe it was McIntyre that said we can do better about respecting the scaling compositions that we tend to play. And here, in last weekend when they played versus No Tomorrow, they have shown a lot of respect for that, done a great job of making sure that they're not losing anybody in the early game, and this is, like I said before, a very calculated early game Volskaya Foundry that is sure to open up with teams hitting heroic abilities.
That's right now, as 10 picked up. Thrall coming in on the flank. Did go Earthquake. There goes the Shadow Charge in. Concussion Mine available. It's going to knock him back. VP's got a couple people isolated for now as Taunt comes in. Cattle needs to hop in that bunker. Does he make it out alive as Earthquake popped down? Lightning Breath is there, and it's not enough to take it down through Lifebinder. Glaurung's going to fall. Cattle survives. Glaurung does not. That gives us our first blood. But that Lifebinder sustained through that Lightning Breath.
Yeah, I was talking about Lifebinder with a high health pool of Diablo. Talk about Lifebinder with the armor of Garrosh. Unfortunately, there's only one of those for Tempo Storm, at least until the cooldown's up again, and HeroesHearth still got their kill, taking out Glaurung, who the positioning of Ishbu was excellent with that Lightning Breath. I feel like he's always very impactful at having that setup with the Lightning Breath, and on the side from that was enough to do a lot of damage, and they still got the kill on Blaze, but what a combo of that Garrosh and Alexstrasza.
Have a few moments to breathe for both teams before we get to the next control point. Everybody's going to reload on their turrets. That healing camp, of course, was picked up in the middle of that last melee. So I think we're just going to see a little bit of quiet before the storm going into the next control point.
Before the Tempo Storm, if they have anything to say about it, losing game 1, as much as Tempo Storm has had reverse sweeps, that is not a place, not a position they at all want to be in, especially versus HeroesHearth Esports, especially with the pressure, knowing that they were 3-0'd by HeroesHearth, and forcing a bunker will be a great win for HeroesHearth because that control point is going to be unlocking in a few seconds, and that's something that won't be around for the start of this fight.
A Pyromania was used as well. So next control point moments away. Ishbu and team move forward. They want to get lane control. So they take down Arthalon, Nature's Cure there, and a little bit of Wind Fury action, making sure that he scoots on out of there before any more bad happens.
Yeah, and Dominable was used too. This was all in on trying to get that. Dragon's Arrow is going to set up for a throw, this time on Crowan and the taunt to follow. Lightning Breath and VP both used, but the VP separated Cattle and he fell straight up to that Lightning Breath. No Cattle for a few more seconds means the Life Binder can be used on Glowering this time, but with these body blocks, he is not making out of here alive.
HeroesHearth, so much pressure. Since their early game slow starts on both maps, the minute 10 hits, it is a completely different team. It's a measured approach, it's a cautious approach. But gosh dang, does it look good right now.
Simple and clean is HeroesHearth this match, and though it didn't look the same versus Endemic, they even lost a map versus Endemic, methinks maybe the focus this entire time has been on their match versus Tempo Storm and sitting atop the standings of North America. It's not done yet though. Tempo makes it back onto the point with Caterpillar back. Heroic abilities are coming off cooldown. Riptire in 12. Tempo can start the channel, but HeroesHearth will have a lot of time to get back here with everybody with another turret, which is what Phoenix and Malfurion are working on, and they'll get another go at this. There is the consideration of heroic ability cooldowns for HeroesHearth, but because they channeled so far and Tempo did not get anything before they lost Cattle, they still have time to make it up here.
They're actually going to steal the turret, or at least contemplated seeing if it was there. McIntyre went over there multiple times. And now they're going to find their way back to the point. Ishbu the target, the charge in on Blaze. The Roots follow up. Pyromania used, but they've also got Arthalon separated here. Concussion Mine, VP.
Glaurung
is out for now, but Glaurung on an island over here.
They're going to use Dragon's Arrow and Riptire. Glaurung's going to jump on through, but he is still so far separated from the rest of this team. Dragon Queen used into the fray, finally puts Glaurung in the spot where Tempo Storm would like him, and then gets a throw on Ishbu too. If they can reset these souls, that would be huge, and so they do. They're hanging on this point.
Arthalon just trying to turn this fight, unable to do so. Roots go down right in the middle, contested for now. Massive heal there by Tempo Storm as June keeps this team alive. They're holding point. Diablo's going to be back with no souls. A lot less tanky. See if they make another attempt to try and reclaim that control point. They're not going to do it, though, without a healing pulse. Tempo Storm recognizes that, but they're not going to be here in time.
15-14, HeroesHearth has held out with their strategy of losing the first control point, but this is not in the game plan to lose a second one. Ishbu gets back on the point, 90%, continuing to climb. That heal pulse is there, keeping Ishbu alive, but the loss of those souls is felt. Tempo Storm gets the second Triglav Protector, and this is monumental for them that they get that.
Got off to a slow start of their own on that second control point. They found their way back, still find themselves down a level here. So they're going to claim a little bit of experience in the top, move down. See if they focus on the mid forward or make their way all the way to the bottom. It looks like they're going to focus this, get some XP before they rotate down. But HeroesHearth, so close to 16. Riptire's going to get a little bit of zoning.
Focused. HeroesHearth didn't have to deal with it, but it did zone enough that Triglav Protector got the fort. 41 seconds left with the Protector, 16 available for HeroesHearth. Not so for Tempo Storm, but any structures that they can take down not only is going to set them up nicely for the next control point, but try to catch them up in experience so they can continue to contest some of the objectives around the map.
The long-range sieging of Fan as he sits on his concussion mine, waiting to see if anybody's going to try and enter that territory. He wants to make sure that he is nice and safe. And Tempo Storm has caught up in experience, still a little ways down, but on even talent tiers, and that's where they want to be. This should be enough to keep them on even talent tiers until the next control point phase comes active.
June's considering what he wants to pick at 16. There's a couple of different options for Fan, also for Alexstrasza too. Could build into shielding since she's already been focusing on her abundance build. Or June's been focusing on abundance build. Otherwise, Draconic Discipline is generally what we see at 16 for the increased duration of Dragon Queen. That was such a clutch Dragon Queen in the last fight, a very big reason of why they were able to maintain control for so long over the control point. So that's what I would expect, but the shielding, if she's just trying to make sure that she can keep everyone healed up, maybe the key. There's also some armor that she can give there if she wants to pick up tough love. It's Draconic.
This is definitely where Zeratul starts to flex a little bit. Getting the extra damage when he hits a couple of targets, and of course, getting the cooldown reduction. And if he can get in there with the wormhole, super impactful in these team fights, more so than at any point for Zeratul. That 16 power spike, definitely his largest.
Yeah, he starts to be more than just a nuisance, but more of a menace around this time. With the amount of harassment that he can do later on to having the healing available at 20.
I think he got a little bit in there just off screen, which is why we saw June and team fall back.
Thankfully for Fan, he has his mine because he is a juicy target. Really, any of those backliners are, but there's an example as McIntyre goes in and halves the health bar. Fan, Dragon Queen used mine not necessary as HeroesHearth concedes the point, respecting that Dragon Queen.
Dragon Queen has a long cooldown. We can't be that far out from the next control point. In the long run, it will be back. But in the short time, it's a couple minutes away. Tempo Storm has gradually started to catch up in the experience department. And this is a much closer game as we reach the later stages here.
Very respectful, I would say, between these two teams. For Tempo Storm, a momentum win more than anything to be able to get the win here, I feel, because they've lost that last game. And showing a strategy and losing with it doesn't always feel that great. Control point activating in a few seconds. HeroesHearth still has a little bit of an advantage with experience, but it's nothing to sneeze at, as Tempo Storm will likely have time and still has things like that Junkrat who can move around the map very quickly to either get some structure damage done or just clear out some minion waves to soak up.
I don't know if HeroesHearth has the time to soak 20, and the experience is not that vast. So we might just get an all-out brawl here. Neither team has been able to obtain control over this bot lane, get any early structure damage, so a win at this point. The win condition not as evident. Ishbu holding point for now as Glaurung and Cattle start to make their way in. McIntyre trying to find an opportunity of his own to get in and get some damage, and the split from Tempo Storm is felt here.
The thing is, Jay, how HeroesHearth getting on the point first doesn't give a lot of options for Tempo Storm, because the longer this goes, HeroesHearth are clearing out wave after wave, and they are eking up an experience enough that Tempo Storm had a difficult decision to make there. They're going to give up this Protector. This is starting to get to the late game, and taking out some of these structures is going to give HeroesHearth level 20. Tempo Storm quickly sends Junkrat to the top. That fort is somewhat low. He can try to work on that, try to get 20. This is a scary spot for Tempo.
This is also a situation we don't generally see. It doesn't play out in the same manner. A keep seems somewhat likely, but if Junkrat can get down here, they might be able to salvage keep. But even losing a keep at this stage of the game is not that detrimental, especially when you know you have a Junkrat on the other side. The next control point will be mid, and Junkrat continuing to stack his grenades. Post 20 makes it a lot easier. And so the keep is good, but I don't think this is one of those just massive changes that just drastically changes the game. It helps. HeroesHearth does have the experience and the lane control, but the Junkrat on the other side, it's nothing that I think is just game-breaking. So Tempo Storm very much in this.
the discipline from both of these teams giving up protectors in favor of having everybody up to defend it is what makes the game that way. That and having the Junkrat who can rotate quickly down to clear out the waves and then come back up. Which means we're gonna have another waiting period unless we see some traps start to be made or some teams starting to get some setups, some invasions for camps, which just has been part of this game so far.
It speaks volumes to me, the amount of respect towards each other. To have this type of discipline in these games is rarely seen. It's going to be our charge, flip into the roots, indomitable use. Lightning Breath is out. Root's going to land there. Dragon Arrow in return.
Oh,
Glaurung goes in deep, force the bunker out. The Lightning Breath still going. The scanner comes out. VP forced to drop there. Lifebinder comes out. Fan on that backside. The minute he saw Ishbu kind of coming around, he's like, maybe I should go ahead and get rid of this tire. And a lot of fireworks. No deaths, though.
Almost the anti-synergy with the Purification Salvo and the VP, but smart recognition by McIntyre to drop that, so Glaurung did not have something to retreat back into and avoid that damage. But having Ritual of Life now, that healing is going to be hard to cut through in a target, so much so that we may see a switch up in the target after that comes out, force that on somebody, and then put it on somebody else. The thing is, it's always been the frontliners, and though the Lightning Breath, if in the right places, can burn down one of those health bars like Glaurung or Cattle, we've seen it in this game, it's hard for them to try to get kills on either one of them, especially if bunker and, well, the armor's always up for Garrosh, but if the bunker is up for Glaurung.
There's been a significant amount of control over this healing camp due to the Garrosh and the Junkrat mines. Now we've got aggressive flanks coming out from Heroes Hearth. Priority target turns its way over to Heroes Hearth, and Heroes Hearth is still having a tough time cracking in to that healing pulse camp. Tempo Storm, a couple of turrets. Zeratul lurking in that bottom right.
Yeah, he forced that lane out faster and then was lurking to see if anyone would not make this smart rotation, but Fan mined over the wall. Now is being very cautious about how he defends this, but Zeratul went in. Got some damage done to Fan.
The little parts of this. Bottom lane will be dealt with before this next control point, and it could all come down to one team fight, one moment in this game that can just open it up on either side. One protector, I think, at this point is enough to end the game, especially if Heroes Hearth obtains that. No keep in the bot lane. Tempo Storm still some structures to go through. The passivity we've seen in certain fights, it's gone. It is out the window. It is time to fight. There is no avoiding it. It all comes down to this fight here for both teams.
All heroics are up, and both teams unwilling to give up the first start of the channel. It is such an advantage to have that channel going up while your opponents have to fight into that. Nature's Cure was forced to be used. Taunt, the Cattle was the target. Mine's going to throw McIntyre back. He has to use Void Prism, which Cattle goes inside. The Tranquility starting to heal McIntyre back up.
He's alive, but he's continuing to get peppered away as those grenades are hitting. Ishbu's still holding on to that control point. Nobody established just yet. Lightning Breath is out. This is the increased duration. Salvo comes out. Hanzo the first to fall. Bunker goes down. The Lightning Breath still out. Will Blaze make it out alive? McIntyre goes in and gets the cleave there. They do get the target on the front line. Glaurung falls. Two members now down on the side of Tempo Storm. Control over to Heroes Hearth.
That's almost certainly to be it, J-How. Heroes Hearth Esports forced Tempo Storm into a corner. Glaurung separated from the rest of the team. Tempo went after the initial target, but not being able to get it. And then all forced back. Hanzo separated from the pack and taken down, and then getting the second kill after Bunker was used. Heroes Hearth keeping the channel going, working on getting a turret so that they can make this final march toward the core. 23 seconds left until Hanzo's back up. This is not a play of the game. He has Bullseye instead. 85% continuing to climb in Tempo. Nowhere to be found in trying to contest this point.
There's a lot of damage that can come out between Junkrat and Hanzo, but this is a 23-minute protector. the success rate of protectors at this point of the game, it's sky high, and I'm pretty sure we're about to see it's 100% in this game. Fan putting out the damage, not fully stacked on his level 4. Hanzo's back, the protector going in. It's about to turn its focus onto the core. We're gonna see if HeroesHearth can go up 2-0.
HeroesHearth marches straight to the core, leaving nothing left, allowing Tempo to damage them, using the Dragon Queen, using everything they possibly can, but with the protector, with the lightning breath, that is all she wrote as HeroesHearth goes up 2-0 over Tempo Storm.
Not the knockdown, drag him out fight we might have anticipated on that, but HeroesHearth has a clear strategy in mind, and with the Diablo, wait for those souls to stack up. Zeratul, clearly not that strong in the early game, but late game, it was enough. As HeroesHearth goes up 2-0.
2-0, and now the real work begins for Tempo Storm if they have any hope of claiming the top of North America, because they're going to need another miracle reverse sweep. They have done it in some of the most unbelieved of situations, like at the mid-season brawl versus Ballistics. But here, it feels like HeroesHearth Esports has all the control, all the discipline, and had their sights set on being able to walk away with a clean victory in this series. Tempo Storm has to find some answers.
I want to see just Cattle come out with that Murd and just let him lead the charge. Just go in, get those stacks, show us that aggressive nature that we've seen from Tempo Storm over the last week plus. Right now, the Garrosh, his engagement opportunities were extremely limited. I don't think I've seen too many games like that. Volskaya, sometimes it's on, off. That was more just like, maybe we'll go on, but it's probably going to be off. The amount of respect that they kept showing each other, maybe it was too much respect at times, but HeroesHearth seemed to be in control of the pace. They dictated the pace in the early game. They said, we're not going to fight. Mid-game, we'll choose the engagements. Didn't fight over the healing pulse, said it wasn't needed. And whenever they wanted to fight, the impact was felt. And there was no answer from Tempo Storm, it felt like, in a lot of those situations.
Well, they get some time to find an answer in the next game, because we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, does HeroesHearth close it out, or does Tempo Storm bring it back? We'll find out soon.